the silent mistake that made a company irrelevant. The most dangerous sentence in business isn't "we're losing money." It's "our customers don't understand." Because the moment you believe the market is wrong and you're right, you've already started fading. This is the story of a company that didn't collapse overnight. It didn't face a scandal. It didn't run out of funding. It simply stopped listening. And slowly, quietly, it became irrelevant. A decade ago, Horizon Devices was one of the most promising consumer tech startups in its space. They built sleek productivity tablets for professionals who wanted simplicity over complexity. The founder, Elena, was brilliant and uncompromising. She believed deeply in product purity. No unnecessary features, no distractions, just elegant tools for serious work. In the early years, customers loved it. Reviews praised the minimalist design. Productivity influencers recommended it. Sales grew steadily. The brand built a reputation for focus and discipline in a noisy market. Internally, the team felt proud. They weren't chasing trends. They were building what they believed was right. And that belief became their strength and eventually their blind spot. As competition increased, customers began asking for small improvements. Cloud synchronization with third-party apps, more customization options, enhanced collaboration features. Nothing radical, just refinements. The feedback came through surveys, support tickets, online forums. It wasn't angry, it was constructive. Elena dismissed most of it. She argued that customers didn't always know what they truly needed. If we start adding every requested feature, she told her team, we'll lose what makes us different. At first, that reasoning felt noble. Focus is powerful. Vision matters. But there's a thin line between vision and arrogance. Quarter by quarter, subtle signals appeared. Customer retention dipped slightly. Online reviews shifted tone. New competitors launched products with broader integration and flexible tools. Horizon's marketing continued emphasizing simplicity, but the market was evolving toward connected ecosystems. Inside board meetings, data was presented carefully. Churn was rising modestly. Support complaints about missing features were becoming repetitive. Some product managers advocated running experiments, small pilot programs, limited feature rollouts. Elena resisted. We don't follow the crowd, she insisted. We lead. The problem wasn't conviction. It was rigidity. Then came the turning point disguised as stability. Revenue plateaued. Not declined. Plateaued. For a while, leadership interpreted it as market saturation. They increased advertising. They refined messaging. They adjusted pricing tiers. But they didn't address the core issue. Customers were asking for evolution, and the company was offering repetition. The most loyal users began migrating quietly. Not angrily, just gradually. They still appreciated Horizon's design philosophy, but they needed tools that integrated with their workflow. Productivity wasn't about isolation anymore. It was about collaboration. In internal meetings, engineers privately acknowledged the gap. They saw what competitors were building. They read user forums. They understood the requests weren't random. They were consistent. But without executive approval, nothing significant changed. Elena remained convinced that staying pure would eventually reward them. She believed trends would reverse. That customers would grow tired of feature-heavy platforms. That minimalism would reclaim dominance. Markets rarely reverse to validate stubbornness. One afternoon, a long-term enterprise client announced they would not renew their contract. It wasn't about price. It wasn't about performance. It was about adaptability. They needed integration features Horizon refused to build. That client had been with the company for 6 years. The loss triggered internal urgency. Emergency strategy sessions were scheduled. Consultants were hired. Market analysis reports were commissioned. The conclusion was unavoidable. The company had not lost relevance because of poor quality. It had lost relevance because it had stopped listening. Here's the uncomfortable truth about feedback. It rarely arrives dramatically. It whispers first, through minor complaints, through feature suggestions, through small drops in engagement. If you ignore the whispers, eventually the silence becomes permanent. Elena faced a choice: double down on philosophy, or acknowledge that vision must adapt to context. For the first time, she agreed to host live customer roundtables. No filters, no curated questions, just open conversations. The feedback was consistent and clear. Customers still admired the brand. They still respected the craftsmanship. But they felt unheard. They felt the product had stopped evolving with them. That realization hit harder than declining metrics. It wasn't just about missing features. It was about broken dialogue. The company initiated a structured listening strategy. Quarterly feedback reviews became mandatory in executive meetings. Product roadmaps included visible customer-requested features. Beta testing programs were expanded. Transparent communication replaced defensive messaging. The shift wasn't instant. Some lost customers never returned. Rebuilding trust takes longer than losing it. But gradually, perception changed. Users noticed updates aligned with their needs. Engagement stabilized. Churn slowed. The brand regained relevance, not because it abandoned its identity, but because it allowed identity to mature. There's a powerful lesson hidden in this story. Customer feedback is not a command. You don't implement every suggestion blindly. But feedback is data. It reveals patterns. It exposes friction. It highlights blind spots leadership may not see from the inside. Ignoring it doesn't protect your vision. It isolates it. Many companies fall into the same trap. Early success reinforces confidence. Confidence turns into certainty. Certainty turns into dismissal. And dismissal slowly disconnects you from the very people who built your success. Listening doesn't weaken authority. It strengthens strategy. Elena later admitted that her fear wasn't about adding features. It was about losing control of the product narrative. She equated adaptation with compromise. But adaptation is not surrender. It's alignment. Markets evolve. Customer behavior shifts. Technology advances. If your business remains static while the environment changes, decline becomes inevitable. Not dramatic, but gradual. The cost of ignoring feedback isn't immediate collapse. The slow erosion, loss of loyalty, loss of relevance, loss of emotional connection. And the most dangerous part? You might not notice until it's difficult to reverse. So how do you avoid this fate? First, separate ego from insight. Feedback about your product is not a personal attack. It's information. Second, look for patterns, not noise. One complaint can be random. 50 similar complaints signal direction. Third, build structured listening into your operations. Surveys, interviews, analytics, user testing. Make feedback measurable and recurring, not occasional and reactive. Fourth, communicate openly about what you will and won't implement. Customers don't expect perfection. They expect acknowledgement. Horizon devices survived because they corrected course before collapse. But many companies don't. They fade quietly while believing they are staying true to themselves. Staying true should never mean staying deaf. If you're building something today, ask yourself a difficult question. When was the last time you genuinely listened without defending? Without explaining? Without filtering? Relevance is rented, and the rent is paid in attention. If the story made you reflect on how you handle feedback in your business or career, then you're already ahead of the curve. Sustainable success isn't about being right all the time. It's about being responsive enough to stay aligned. If you found value in this episode of Wealth Narrative, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We explore the hidden decisions that shape long-term success, and sometimes the most expensive mistakes are the quiet ones.